hear me?
Is this good? Okay. Seems like I've gotten this going. So, there's a question about Minecraft Creepypastas and where are they located the most, or what version has the most Minecraft Creepypastas? This is a pretty good question. You see, Minecraft Creepypasta characters, entities, and scenarios and situations have been around for a long time. Most evidences show that pretty much since Minecraft was first conceived, they have existed. In fact, some sources show that creepypastas existed even when Notch was first creating Minecraft, before we had even heard of it, but they were so subtle and hidden that we didn't yet know about them. So, how old are they? Gosh, we think they've been around since the very first. Are they still around? Evidence again show that even in the latest versions, which now are 1.19, that they still exist and are still around. Now this begs to differ. In some instances where we don't get to see them all as often, but we do know that they still exist. Or we see evidences that they exist, whether they be in the coding, or in some instances there are stories where they somehow enter into real life. Kind of strange, isn't it? And kind of confusing. So, Minecraft Creepypasta characters enter Minecraft through strange means. Sometimes we think they're in the code, or injected on purpose, or something goes wrong and they create themselves, right? At least that's some of the stories we hear. Minecraft Creepypasta stories are so diverse that there are literally infinite ways in which we know in which they can enter or exist. Just go to the Minecraft Creepypasta wiki and start reading a bunch of these stories that exist. And these experiences are kind of unique and strange in so many ways. Now, we do know that a lot of these tend to enter when there's a greater population of players, therefore more instances where it can happen, and more possibilities of scare. Also, they tend to exist around different ways of entry into the game. And so, we're looking at this possibility of entry through downloads or interactions like on servers, right? So if you look back in the past in history, look to the versions of Minecraft where they had the greatest populace, we're looking at players, we're looking at downloads, we're looking at mods. Looking at the data here, there's actually a lot of data around this, which makes it very interesting. But if we look at those, and if we look at the instances where these creepypasta characters exist, there is actually a spike in a graph where these characters exist the most. So we know that they've been around for a very long time, potentially since the beginning of Minecraft. Well, as Minecraft was released, and it got bigger and gained momentum, it gained more players. That created more instances and experiences where creepypasta characters could exist or come about. Now, we do know that a lot of growth happened around version 1.7. Okay, 1.72 up to 1.710. And there are a lot of decent mods around there. However, that does not just suddenly stop the growth. There's lots of growth even beyond that. But we're also looking at not just that, but also mods and texture packs and things like that, and when a lot of them were created and where a lot of them were spread around. And believe it or not, the greatest peak is around version 1.12.2. Now, there are a lot of other players that have come about even after that version, and Minecraft still has a lot of growth, and there are still a lot of mods, there are a lot of data packs, and a lot of these creepypasta character experiences do revolve around a lot of these instances. And so we still see them currently, but the greatest spike that we know of was around 1.12.2, when we're not just looking at only player base, because I mean that differs between different versions, but we're coming in with the numbers of quantity of players, we're looking at the amount of mods, we're also looking at return playing, or how many players, even though we're on a later version of Minecraft, come back to the earlier version of Minecraft for different reasons. And the one version of Minecraft that just blows all the other versions out when it comes to a repeat replay on an older version is by far 1.12.2. And so, if you go back, and this is a hard piece of data to track because you have to go and look at a lot of these pieces individually, but from what we know, what we've seen is the majority of these are occurring in version 1.12.2. I mean, look at some of the biggest ones. You know, the biggest one that we know of that's based almost entirely in 1.12.2 is Giant Alex, right? You got to have Optifine. You got to be on Peaceful. You got to have a lower view distance. Of course, this is just one entity, but it makes you ask the question, why only 1.12.2? Well, we don't actually know why, but what we do know is that is probably the most heavily modded version of Minecraft. and it's the most heavily repeated play of Minecraft that's launched when people revert back to an older version, 1.12.2. So think about it as if you were like an actual existing creepypasta entity. Wouldn't you want to go to the one where the most people are? Now, of course, the most recent version, you're going to see a lot of that. But there is also rumors that it's easier to hide in older versions because they're no longer patched by Mojang, right? So it's like as if you're safer as a creepypasta in the older versions of Minecraft. And in 1.12.2, where you have the higher player base, if you're really a creepypasta entity and you're wanting to scare players, why wouldn't you be there? So it's kind of an interesting thought process and something interesting to think about. But this is coming back to all the data points and everything we've looked at and individual histories and experiences with creepypasta entities. We can say that from what we know, that Minecraft version 1.12.2 is where the most Minecraft creepypasta characters and entities are. So, if you're wanting to go out exploring into the creepypasta realm, or, in some instances, just create pranks of creepypastas and everything, 1.12.2 is probably where it's at. Now, for me personally, with my creepypasta characters and my creepypasta videos, you'll see I go back and forth between two different versions a lot. Oh yeah, I'm either on the most recent version of Minecraft or 1.12.2. Not saying that there aren't creepypasta characters that are supposed to exist in other versions, it's just that those are the two best versions for the encounters. Alright, you got it? I think we've answered the question. Minecraft 1.12.2 is where you find the most creepypasta characters. Other than that, you're going to find the most recent version because that's just where the most players are. Right? And where wouldn't you be except for where the players are?